Hello and welcome to another episode of Words with Myself.
The universe is amazing, and the more that I lean into the world and observe it, free of judgment or restriction, we often contain what we believe into things that we can prove or verbalize, or even just understand. There are many containers that we put our belief in, but when you free yourself from all restrictions and just observe and be present, you begin to see all sorts of things that you wouldn't have otherwise seen. Or you may have chalked it down to something like coincidence or luck. You might not see signs and divine timing. You might think that all the events are random, that things just happen and there's no real order to things. But those who have a truly deep spiritual connection, a connection to the universe, a connection to God, a connection to their higher selves, when you are in touch with that, you begin to see everything unfold so clearly. And instead of just disproving everything to yourself and saying, well, that isn't what that is, or, the signs are meaningless, or this is just a coincidence or a mistake, you begin talking yourself out of things that are very valuable. And your mind is immediately punishing you for receiving information that you were destined to receive, that is important for you to receive. And yet we're so critical because we think things aren't backed by science, or, it's reading too much into things or thinking too deeply about things. But when you start paying attention to the world around you in a real deep and present way, you see that the signs are everywhere. That magic is everywhere. Things happen all the time that we have simply no explanation for, and that cannot possibly be coincidence. For instance, 2 days ago, there was lightning, and I was watching it. And during this time, I wanted to get it on camera, and because it was just so amazing and beautiful, and I was just like, I really want to capture this on video. And I was on a main road, and cars were coming by. And I said, almost just out into the world, out into the universe, I just kind of said it in my head, but I meant it, and it was almost kind of joking, but serious at the same time. I sort of said, if you can just wait for the cars to go and then flash, that would be great, because I'm trying to get it on camera. And one car passes, and then another. And I see another car just approaching, so I get my camera ready for it to pass. I press record, and the second that it is entirely out of view, it flashes. Immediately. On the spot. Almost perfect. No, it was perfect. No, there is no was or sort of. It was perfect. It was exact. Now, 99% of people would just say that was coincidence. That it just happened to happen at that time, and there's nothing really to that. And in one instance, it could be coincidence. But when you truly start seeing this kind of stuff, you see that it happens all the time. All the time. There are signs and information behind the obvious everywhere. And humans have known this for almost the entirety of our existence. We have always known that there was power in the stars, and that birds gave us information and signs. And we have almost, in our scientific era, rejected all of that information. We've basically said all of that kind of stuff is rubbish, it doesn't work, ignore it, there's nothing here. But yet, for a majority of our civilization, we dedicated ourselves to studying the stars. We built monuments and cities and architecture all around the stars and how important it was. And yet now, we just treat it like a bunch of rocks in space. There's no intelligence to them. We don't give them any credit. We don't believe that they have anything to teach us other than they exist. But this is something that is in great conflict with what we've believed for a majority of our civilization. And yet, with almost pride and arrogance, we have, as a civilization now, come to this point where we believe that it's not important and we can just get rid of it as like woo-woo magic. And there is a good reason for it. I wasn't actually going to talk about this. I was going to talk about the importance of like being aware of this information. But I'm going to go into this because it is important. They are replacing religion and spirituality and God with science. And they have been looking to do this for a very, very long time, because religion was an amazing tool of control over the people. However, the problem with religion is that it teaches certain things that in the right mind and the right hands is actually very empowering. And if you truly look into not just what people say about religion, but the real details, you can begin to see all of the hidden information and hidden meanings. And they couldn't change this because a lot of it is in text that is very well known and very well distributed, which doesn't actually stop them from changing the text, because they do, and they have done, and they've brought out different versions and they've reduced meanings. They used to say in the Bible about the firmament above the sky, which is basically this huge ocean dome around the earth. And yet now it's been stripped out of modern Bibles. So they do change the meanings, but however, there is stuff that can be gained that puts somebody in closer relationship with God. And with that, that person could be actually engaging on a solitary journey where they take the teachings and the good stuff and they reject what is projected on them for control. So instead, people are going through these religions and they're actually learning to develop a relationship with God, and that can't be controlled. Whereas science can be changed. For instance, COVID. The whole rhetoric of COVID was believe the science. And that's what they want you to do. They want you to trust science over anything that you believe or that you feel in your gut. They want science to be God because they can control science. They can bring out new data. They can run different tests. They can run different experiments, and they can say that they've changed their mind and that the science actually says something different. And there's no problem with that. That's just science, and that's the way it works. But science should be an independent study, and it should be done with no bias. Yet science is often funded by private corporations who pay for the research, and that's how people can run the experiments. Someone has to pay for them. Often they're very expensive and take a lot of time, money, and investment. So somebody needs to have a lot of money in order to do that. And if they want to suggest that a certain result happens, otherwise funding will be cut, and you'll lose your job or you'll lose your livelihood, or we won't publish your papers unless it meets our criteria, then science is controlled. Unless we're all running the studies and verifying the information, trust the science basically equates to trust us, take us at our word, believe us, and that's it. And even if you do your own tests, they will say that that is anecdotal, that's just for you. For instance, in a lot of medicine or a lot of medical cases, someone might go away and treat themselves and heal themselves through some holistic method, or something like breath work or meditation or a special diet, and people will say, well, that's not scientific, that's just anecdotal evidence that something worked for you, but that might just be that you got better anyway on your own and had nothing to do with what you did. They'll admit to things like the placebo effect, where your mind can heal you because it believes so strongly that something will help, yet they won't admit that you don't need all of their medicine, and your mind and body is perfectly capable of healing itself and does so on a regular basis. And I'm not saying that we should disregard all of science. I'm just saying that it's obviously controlled. It's obviously manipulated, just like how religion used to be manipulated. Now it's been brought into something different, and they are using science as an exercise of manipulation and control. Just how religion isn't all bad and has lots of beautiful things to teach you, science isn't all bad and probably has lots of beautiful things to teach you too. But it's still manipulated. They're still using it as a tool to control you. They almost make people feel self-conscious for even questioning science, because they'll say, well, we can prove it, and they have very complex methods of proving it. Things that a lot of people just don't have the time or energy to go and understand. And so they have to believe because they don't really have any evidence and can't go and fight a load of battles about why they believe that taking long walks at night actually helps them cure their insomnia or something like this. Like, it is not recommended as a treatment, but if it works for you, it works for you. And in a lot of things, if you listen to your gut and you stay present and you have these feelings like intuition, or you will see the signs, you will receive the information of what you are supposed to do. But when your worldview, when your opinions, when your beliefs are so contaminated by this information that they force on you and condemn and shame you if you choose to believe or think something else, that is when you can't see the signs. You can't trust yourself to observe properly. And you are too judgmental. You are too critical. You think the world is black and white, and it doesn't work like that. If you stay in that mindset, you cannot see all of that beauty, all of that possibility, all of those signs. You can't have that relationship with God. You can't have that relationship with the universe. And that's exactly what they want. That's why they're doing it. So you can reclaim your power by taking off those glasses, by stop judging yourself for believing and thinking certain things. If you feel like you had a nervous shudder and that's trying to tell you something, or if you feel like someone walked over your grave, or you feel like every time you see a specific number, it means that you're in the right place. If you feel anything, if you just have this inside pull towards something, or you notice something, or it seems interesting, allow yourself to look. Allow yourself to be present. Allow yourself to believe. The other day I was walking through this like beautiful forest path, and in my head I was like, I just need some sort of sign or something. And immediately, as soon as I said that, I hit a little root in the path and tripped. And I found it hilarious. I was like, oh my God. Like, thank you for that very visceral, very obvious sign. Like, it was so immediate. It was just comical. And things like that happen to me every day. And it is magical. When you allow yourself to believe, when you allow yourself to see, and you free yourself from all of that expectation and judgment and everything else, it really is like a magical experience. You realize how powerful you are. You realize just how much influence over the entire universe that you have, that you can speak things into existence, that your words have so much power and meaning, that things affect your energy. And when people are speaking negative things at you, or they're talking about you behind your back, you can feel it. You know it's true. You can sense when people are looking at you. You can sense when someone's talking about you when you're not in the room. All of that is power. And it's amazing. It's all there for you to use. All of these things are tools in your toolbox. They are all true. Everything is true. If it is true for you, it is true. And you don't have to believe everything. You don't have to see the way I see. All you have to do is allow yourself to see it your own way, to trust yourself, to let things unfold in front of you and make your own mind up, to just see the information as it is, or even just trust that little voice inside your gut, that little bit of intuition, whatever it is, whatever you feel, whatever you can not really explain, but you just know it's true. That is where the magic is. So don't deny yourself the magic. Thank you for listening.